Alrighty, gang. So in this clip, what I would like to talk about is the importance of being teachable or coachable in your work, in school, and whatever. And I learn this all the time from my boss and, just different bosses I've had. The idea of being able to be teachable, whether it's related to how you do things. It could be grading as an instructor. It could be as a student, ways that you're writing your paper, or anything that you're doing in any kind of work. And I remember I was applying for an executive level position some years ago, and it was maybe 6, 7 years ago now. And one of the supervisors, he told me, he said, okay, I want you to emphasize your administrative experience. I want you to hit on, I want you to hit on the fact that you're coachable and that you're teachable. In fact, when he had hired me, he was one of the people that had hired me and then helped to train me initially for my initial position. He told me that what he looked for in instructors was people that was this quality of being teachable or coachable. And so what we're really saying is somebody that's flexible. And if you think about it, I was just having a conversation with my neighbor who's into business success and philosophy, and it was amazing because he just the other night, who's the guy from loop.net? I think it's looper.net or some website, and this guy created some product for realtors, okay? And it's now a $120 million company, and he started with $12 million of capital. And he said that one of his secrets, and we were just talking about this, he said one of his secrets was that idea of, basically was flexibility, and that idea of being teachable, learning, and being willing to take steps at every level of the way, so that your way of doing something gets you to a certain level. So then to get to the next level, what do you need to do? And that's what he told me, that when he was starting his company, a lot of people thought he was crazy, and they said, oh, it can't be done. And so he asked different questions. How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you teach yourself? How do you become coachable, essentially, to hit this mark? How do you get to this next mark? And so his first, the amount of capital that he raised was 500 to 600,000, and then he started going up, and then it became 12 million, and then it started making serious money. But he had to have that vision of how he was going to do it and be coachable. And essentially, isn't that what it is? Isn't that true? They say that, and not to get religious here, but they say that God will never give you more than you can handle. I had a student post something about that actually earlier in the evening. I read a post, and she said that, and a lot of people will tell me this, and I believe this too, that you're never given more than you could handle. But if you're growing and stretching, just like with this business idea, if you can do these things, and which everybody can, you can grow and stretch, then what happens is you need to be teachable or coachable to learn different ways of doing things. There's just another quick example I'll give you today. I brought in somebody from Closets by Design. Again, I'm not promoting anything, but this man came in and he said, he spent 2.5 hours, we talked, and he went through the entire house. I mean, it's just a townhome, and I love it, don't get me wrong, but he says, you actually have furniture everywhere. He says you have everything kind of filled to the max. He says there's no real wall space to do much. He said, so what you're going to need to do is sell some stuff on Craigslist. He said you're going to have to, and then here's what he said. He says you're going to have to be bring in new things, but let go of other things. And so what we're really saying again is that idea of being coachable and teachable. He's saying essentially, if you want to utilize my services, here's what I need to do my job, and here's what I need you to do. Here's what I need you to do. You see what I'm saying? So that idea of, are you receptive to somebody's message for change? If they're going to help you with something, are you willing to go that way and do what they recommend, or at least entertain the idea? This part of being flexible and adaptable and coachable or teachable, whether it's in your work, personal life, relationships in general, social interactions, business, different external business situations, I think that's really important. And I'm going to record another video in a moment that also can help, but I think the one thing that you want to keep in mind about being flexible and adaptable is keep what elements of what you're doing working, keep whatever's working and allow that to grow if you can. If you need to abandon it and there's a better way that you could embrace, then do it. But I think there's a stubbornness, and I'm guilty of this too. I mean, it's just there's a stubbornness. If you have a way of doing things and you've already been successful in doing those things, then you got to be careful, to not, you've got to be careful to not be inflexible. So you want to make sure that you're growing and changing and getting the professional advice that you need. At the same time, don't think that there's one way that you have to get that advice. Be open to how the universe brings you advice. It's pretty amazing because it's amazing because from this conversation with the Closets by Design guy, as he came through and looked at my house and said, "There's not much I can do until you sell some of this furniture, and then I can build the shelving." He's basically telling me how it could be better. Then I found out through the conversation that his house is going to be for sale. And his house is exactly where I could grow into, and it's not much more expensive. It's not amazing. So it's like, is this? So then I'm asking myself, I'm being flexible and coachable to what he's asking, but am I going to be moving into his house, buying his house and selling mine? He actually said to me, he says, you just might be better off buying a different place with more space. And you sometimes get like that, but again, being coachable, teachable, and then open to new ideas and be willing to go with the flow. I think those kinds of things can be helpful. So just know that, okay, yes, even if what you've done has gotten you to a particular place, maybe you want to keep doing that. There's nothing wrong. But if there's somebody doing it and or knows, obviously there are people around us that can help us and get to another level. They can show us different ways. So if you're coachable, you're teachable, somebody opens a new idea that you hadn't even considered before, and then you act on those ideas, and then you adapt and maybe keep some things that you're doing and add in new things, then I think that you can actually get ahead. And also, people have different ideas about being coachable and then going inside and in relation to how you feel. Now, remember what Dr. Phil also talks about in terms of feeling. He says whenever you're adapting to a new behavior, you're going to be uncomfortable at first. So a lot of people will say, well, go inside, and I think what they're talking more about is their intuition. And also, you can trust your feelings, of course, but if you're going to be, also understand there's a part of the discomfort that's tied into an unfamiliarity with the new behavior pattern or the new suggestion someone's bringing you. So just don't think that, if I'm automatically dismissing somebody's idea, that there's no merit in it. You might want to just take another look at it and say, well, they're suggesting this. Here's what I think about that. Let me examine the core belief underneath it. And maybe there is some wisdom that you can glean from it and apply to your life. So that's what I wanted to say about that. I'm going to get into another video clip in just a moment on dropping issues. Okay.